Hey everybody, welcome back to Organic Chemistry. Now this is section 7 of the carboxylic acid and derivatives. It's just a quick video just to summarize all the things we discussed and go back to our original chart that I showed you. Okay, so here's the original chart that I had showed you in the first section. And I think now, after looking at all the reactions and going through everything we discussed, it's nice to come back to it. Okay, so remember that the way this works is that if you are starting with something on the y-axis and you want to make something on the z or the x-axis, I should have wrote x there, then the way you do it is whatever's in the box. So an acyl halide becomes an acid anhydride by adding carboxylic acid. So everything in this you should be clear with. Like an ester, to become an ester is trans-esterification, right? So you add acid and alcohol. But if you want to make it into a carboxylic acid, you could do either acid or base conditions, right? We know if it's base condition, then this would be O-, right? So anytime you use a base condition, this becomes O-. So here, same thing. Acyl halide, use water. We don't need an acid or a base. Remember, the top two, when you react these two, they don't need a catalyst. So you don't see any H plus anywhere or OH- anywhere. There's no catalyst needed, okay? Another thing, when you want to make an amide, acyl halide, acid anhydride, those two, you need excess amine. Because remember the HCl issue or the carboxylic acid issue. And so that's something that you should, have in mind. Okay? Notice how amide can't do anything but become carboxylic acid. Now I don't have nitrile in here, but if I did, right, that's another thing an amide can do is an amide can become a nitrile, right, like that. And the way you would do that is either by using an acid anhydride or P2O5. And that would turn the amide into a nitrile. So that's something that's not in our chart here. Okay? But that's really it for amides. You can't do anything else. Now, what I want to point out here is the whole reduction. Make sure that this is clear because this organizes this for you. Okay? So with an acyl halide, you could make an aldehyde. And that means it's a partial reduction, right? So you can partial reduce this guy. You can partial reduce an ester. And the way that you do it with the acyl halide is lithium triterpetoxy aluminum hydride, LiAlHOR, right? So this is T-blah, right? T-blah. Okay? And that's how you make an aldehyde from an acyl halide. But if it's an ester, then you need diisobutyl aluminum hydride, right? So this is DIBA. DIBA allows you to do that. So T-blah will make an acyl halide become an aldehyde. DIBA makes an ester become an aldehyde. Also, something that we talked about is that if you have a nitrile and you use diisobutyl aluminum hydride, step 2 is water, then you also make an aldehyde. Okay? So that's another way to make an aldehyde. So these are things that aren't in this master chart. So you can make an aldehyde that way. Now, what if you want to make an alcohol? Well, in that case, you can use all of these except for amide. Amide does something very different, and we'll learn about that during the next exam. It's actually, I'll tell you, if you use LiLH4 with all 4 of these, they all become just alcohol, right? They become primary alcohol, whichever one of these you use. But actually, if you use LiLH4 with an amide, it becomes an amine. And you're not going to need to know that now, so don't worry. You need to know that for the next exam. So it actually does a different mechanism. Okay, so for now it's X because there is no way to make an alcohol from an amide. And you could also make a tertiary alcohol from any of these 4 up here. Well, I'm sorry, only these 3 here, right? Because carboxylic acid you can't do this with, and I'll show you why. So these 3 here, ester, acyl halide, acid anhydride, you can by using alkylithium or Grignard. And the reason why acid won't work or nitrogen won't work is because these 2 are going to protonate the Grignard. Remember how they're very sensitive to acid, so you can't have any acid around. Amide is actually acidic. NH is acidic, just like OH. So these 2 will not work. It won't make an alcohol because the R groups from the Grignard or alkylithium, they can't go into the carbonyl. Okay, so just know that these three work. And notice also another thing.